What's going on, people? Welcome back to the United Stand. I am back again. It is another 10 a.m. show on Thursday. Look, it's international break. Yeah, it's international break, so there's no football on, but we've still got news for you. We've still got a lot of things to talk about, to discuss, a lot of debates and whatnot. You know, with my shows, I like to keep it very interactive. I really like going back and forth with you guys in the chat and hearing your opinions and topics on the things that we're talking about. And also, you know, if you want to bring in any topics that you might have heard about or any information that you've seen going around, or any rumours that you've heard going around, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Send in your super chats, and we're going to debate and we're going to discuss them. Now, I know obviously a lot of you probably thinking, oh, where's Mark? The Dublin show was last night. Literally last night. I don't know if any of you guys watching this attended the show, but I heard it was amazing. I heard it was great. I heard it was a full house. You know, everyone really loved it. There was a lot of things going on, you know, in terms of, you know, performances and stuff like that. I heard it was a great show. So congratulations to everyone who went out there, all the people who went to go and support. Thank you guys, and there probably will be another show. I'm not gonna say, you know, any rumours or anything, 'cause I don't know. I don't know, but there might be another show later this year, or maybe even next year. But thank you for everyone who actually came out to the show last night. I know they had a great time. There's probably a reason why they're not here this morning. You know, they were out in Dublin yesterday, so give them a bit of time to recover. I'm sure by later on today or tomorrow, you know, the team will be back and you'll have a show for Mark. But listen, it's me today. I'm here to give you your news, and I'm sure you've seen my title already. There's some more rumours about certain players. There's already a super chat come in, so before I even, you know, bring in my topics, super chat from Scooby. Good morning. Was at the show last night in Dublin. Gotta say we loved it and had an amazing time. It was nice to see the guys, and you gave us an amazing show. Congratulations on 10 years doing TUS. What an amazing super chat to start the show with. Literally, like I said, it was an amazing show. A lot of people loved it. I heard great feedback. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of like review or content coming out just to give you guys a bit of for the people who couldn't make it, some kind of insights to what actually happened last night, whether it's, you know, on the Instagram or on the YouTube, or probably Mark will speak little bit about it. But there'll be some kind of content coming out through this week probably to kind of show you guys or explain to you guys exactly how it went. Because obviously I wasn't there. I'm in Manchester doing the show, but obviously from the guys who were there, we'll let you know exactly what happened, and hopefully you guys can make the next one. Hopefully you can make the next one, because I was at the last one, the one in Manchester it was a Christmas show in the 2023, December 2023, and that was crazy. There was like 700 people there. It was huge. There was a lot of people, and it was an amazing show. So, someone said I got left behind. Yeah, I got to work the hours, man. It's overtime shifts. I got to work the hours. But yeah, let's get into the show. Actually, let's get into the topics. And the first thing that I want to talk about is this whole Angel Gomes situation. Now, a lot of you guys would know who Angel Gomes is, and if you don't know, let me just break it down quickly. So he was a United Academy graduate. I think he was the youngest Academy graduate to make a debut since, I think, since the 1960s or something like that. But definitely in the Premier League. I think he made his debut around 16 years old. This was a while ago. This was probably around 2016 actually. 2015, 2016, I remember that was kind of when he made his debut. Things didn't obviously kick on for him at United. It was honestly difficult, but he didn't have he just wasn't in the right place to kind of build up a talent like Angel Gomes. So he ended up going out I think he went to Portugal first, and then he ended up going to Lille. And he's been at Lille for the last 4 years. Now, I remember at the start, his time was a little bit difficult at Lille, but he eventually really caught his feet, and he's been playing great football over there. And a lot of the people in France will say that he's probably one of the best, well, not the best, but he's in the conversation for best midfielders, especially the attacking midfielders in the league. Definitely for Lille, you know, he's doing great for them, just in terms of his impact in the team. But in general, in League One, he's one of the most sought after talents in that league in terms of midfielders. So the conversation does happen now. What happens to Angel Gomes next season? Because for him, for a player who's obviously grown up in England and probably has aspirations to play in the Premier League, like, you know, regular minutes for a good team in the Premier League, or go on to play for a bigger club than Lille, it's his last year in his contract. 2025, as in summer this year, he can go wherever he wants. He's a free agent. So he has an option to kind of do literally anything. And a lot of big teams are looking at a player like Angel Gomes because of his attributes. I mean, he is a top player. I don't know if you guys remember around that time when he was coming through, he was one of the most, like, I remember I was actually in school at this time because we were kind of the same age. I think he's about 24, 25. And I remember being in school and everyone's kind of talking about Angel Gomes. And we were all seeing these little clips on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok wasn't around back then, to be fair. But we were seeing these clips of like little skills and what he was doing in the academy. And the whole kind of Portuguese connection to Ronaldo and Nani, it kind of felt like, who is this talent? Who's this young guy who's making a huge name for himself? And, you know, he's, like I said, he's 24 years old. He's a midfielder, can play in different positions in the midfield. I think that's one of his, one of the most sought after attributes that he has is the fact that for England, I mean, he was a captain for that under-17 England team that went on to win the World Cup. And bear in mind, he was a captain. Yeah, and let me name some of the players that played for that team. Phil Foden was playing for that team. Jadon Sancho was playing for that team. Callum Hudson-Odoi was playing for that team. Ryan Brewster, if you remember, I can't remember, I don't know what team Ryan Brewster still plays for now. Maybe Sheffield. I remember he did go to Sheffield, but I'm not sure if he still plays for them. But at that time, an amazing talent. Morgan Gibbs-White was playing for that team. Conor Gallagher was on that team. Smith Rowe was on that team. Mark Guehi was on that team. Was James Trafford on that team? I can't remember. But they're just some of the names of the players who have all gone on, as you rightfully know, have gone on to do great in their career. Angel Gomes was a captain for that team. He was a captain and he helped them lift that trophy. So you can kind of, you know how good of a talent he was. But like I said, he can play different positions because for that England team, and even still up until now, I remember with Lee Carsley, he obviously brought him through up until the first team and he got his debut for the first team. Well, when Lee Carsley was managing them through that run of games that he had, and he was able to really, you know, adapt and play these kind of different positions in the midfield. It wasn't just about being an attacking midfielder, which is his main attributes, but he was able to actually drop deeper and collect the ball in the first phase from the defence and work the ball through the midfield, through the second phase and the third phases, and really be an impactful player in that team. So for someone like Angel Gomes, I feel like he's got a huge. I know he's 24 years old and he's not young anymore. It's not a conversation of a 19-year-old player who we are going to talk about a couple of 19-year-old players later on in the show. But I still feel like he's got a huge potential for what he can do at a big club, you know, in a different league. Maybe not League One, but in a Premier League, or if he does go into like a La Liga or a Bundesliga, what can he do for a bigger club? But let me know in the chat about what do you know about Angel Gomes. What are your opinions on Angel Gomes? What do you think about him potentially returning to United? Like I said, in this summer, his contract's done. He has the ability to kind of go on and do whatever he wants. Super chat here from Carl Robertson. There is no excuse not to get him. I mean, look, the thing with Angel Gomes as well, and I'm basing this more on INEOS now. They do like to go for young players. Now, Angel Gomes is under the age of 25, so he does fit that criteria of a player who he's not, 28, 29, 30 years old, where INEOS are probably going to look at him and think, even though he might be in his prime or he might be doing very well, they want to kind of look at building up young talent and stuff like that. Angel Gomes is in that conversation. He did play for United, so he already has that connection to the club. It won't be like a whole new experience coming to England. He's from Manchester. He's born and raised. Actually, I don't know if he was born in Manchester, but he was definitely raised in Manchester. So he understands the culture of the club and everything about it. He's Portuguese. I know he played for England, but he's Portuguese. His name is Angel Gomes. So he's definitely got something else in him. But yeah, he's Portuguese, so that Ruben Amorim connection is obviously going to be something that helps. And yeah, like I said, he understands the culture of the club. He understands playing in English football. There's a lot of reasons why United should go for him. And like I said, he's free. He's free. We don't even have to pay anything for him. Like, he's literally free. Yes, we're going to have to give him a decent contract to kind of make up for the wages. I mean, make up for the transfer budget that we're not going to have to spend on him, but he's free. So, I don't know. I don't think there's I get what you mean, Carl Robinson. There is not a lot of excuses as to why United wouldn't go for him. Now, one thing I will say is I understand this whole notion of we don't want to go back to old players. We don't want to go back and bring in a player that was here who didn't necessarily work out for us. I know a lot of United fans that I speak to, they don't like the whole let's go and bring somebody back. They're more on a thing of let's go and find somebody new. Let's find somebody who's not been here, someone who's got a fresh start. We've not seen a lot of him. They'd rather go for a player like that instead of going and bringing a player who has played for the club, who didn't work out. They'd rather find someone fresh and someone new. Super chat from Fred Flintstone. No other Premier League club is linked to him. Worrying for a player his age and contract situation. If he's so good, why is there no other club there? Well, the news that I actually brought out was that West Ham's bid got rejected. So that's a Premier League club right there. They did try to offer him a £100,000 contract, and he said no. He literally said no to West Ham, which I understand because, let's be honest, like I know we're bad. I'm gonna hold my hands up and say yes, I get it. United are not the greatest team right now, but West Ham are literally the position that West Ham are in. I could imagine them being there next season as well, and maybe the season after. And we don't know where West Ham's future is going to be. I mean, there are teams. The way the Premier League is looking right now, it is difficult. Like it is difficult to really climb out of that. But that second half, I don't even know what you even call it, because it's a mid-table kind of just above relegation form kind of team where I think West Ham are, Wolves are at. Crystal Palace are kind of in that conversation. To be a top half team is difficult right now because you're going to have, naturally, obviously, the Liverpools, Arsenal, City, Chelsea, who 4 teams who are obviously doing all right now. But then you've also got the Nottingham Forest, the Bournemouths, the Brightons, the Fulhams, and Aston Villas, who are also doing well right now. And then you've got your teams like, I'm not even mentioning United yet. That's literally, United obviously going to be in that conversation. I'm not mentioning Tottenham yet, who are also going to be in the conversation. That's 11 teams who next season are going to 100% want to be in the top half of the table. That's crazy to say, but United are in that conversation. There's 11 teams that either one definitely will be in the top half of the table or will be fighting at least to get in the top half of the table. But then you've also got your, like I said, a team like Crystal Palace, and then your Brentfords and those teams that are like mid-table, but obviously your West Hams and any team that comes up from the Championship that are going to want to also do well and finish as high as they can. So for a team like West Ham, they are in that conversation of where they're going to finish next season. Is it going to be in the mid-table or is it going to be a bit lower? And if I'm Angel Gomes and I'm looking at that, I'm thinking, what is the aspiration for a player like me who's obviously I've done well at Lille and everybody kind of knows my talent? Do I really want to go to a team like West Ham where I don't know where they're going to finish? I don't know if they're going to be the Wolves of next season. You know what I mean? Or they're going to be the Leicester of next season. I don't know what the situation is with them, especially for a team that, sacked their manager, this season. I think they've obviously got Graham Potter actually. We don't know what the situation is going to be with Graham Potter. He has improved them a little bit, but we don't know where they're going to be next season. So I understand why Angel Gomes, even though the contract might look nice, it's £100,000 a week. I think right now he's on, I'm not sure, I don't know what he's on right now, but he is going to be thinking, yes, the money might look good, but for my future as a 24-year-old player entering into my prime, I want to know that the next 3 to 5 years of my career is going to be in the right place, a place where I can actually develop. Even though I'm playing well, I want to develop still and play for a team that is competing for something, whether it's competing for a European spot, competing for a Champions League spot, or even go to a Premier League competing team. So, yeah, I understand why he kind of rejected West Ham. There are other clubs in the Premier League that are linked to him as well. It's not just West Ham. There are definitely other teams that would want to go after Angel Gomes. I think Tottenham was in that conversation as well, and obviously United are in that conversation. So, and probably Chelsea. Let's be honest, probably Chelsea. The Chelsea will be in there somewhere. There'll be, for some reason Chelsea will want to buy him. But yeah, Angel Gomes rejected a bid from West Ham. Does that mean Manchester United are going to go after him? Now, I want to do a poll with Angel Gomes, but before I do the poll, I need to bring in another player who I want to add to the poll. And that player is Jobe Bellingham. Yeah, Jobe Bellingham. Now, the news that I've heard was Manchester United are lining up a move for Sunderland's Jobe Bellingham. That is from Dom Smith from Standard Sport. Manchester United are lining up a move for Jobe Bellingham. This is a very interesting conversation, in my opinion. Now, first of all, let's just run a poll. Before I even get into Jobe Bellingham and pause, before I even talk about Jobe Bellingham, let's have a poll on who would you rather, Jobe Bellingham or Angel Gomes? Two, in my opinion, different players, two different midfielders, both different ages. Angel Gomes 24, Jobe Bellingham being 19. Who would you rather, Jobe Bellingham or Angel Gomes? Let's run a poll on that right now. Who would you rather in your team or to come to Manchester United, Jobe Bellingham or Angel Gomes? Now, off the bat, actually, let me go through it first, and then I'm going to give my verdict later on. So, Jobe Bellingham, like, a lot of you probably know who he is. Again, if you don't know who he is, 19-year-old, the brother of Jude Bellingham. I think that's probably what most people know him for, which is unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I think that's why he changed his name on his shirt from Bellingham to Jobe, because he didn't want to be known as just being Jude Bellingham's brother. He wants to actually create a career for himself. Now with Joe Bellingham, I think the main difference is for me in terms of his play style compared to an Angel Gomes is one, stature. He's 6'3". He's Jude Bellingham. I want to describe what he is, but if you don't, the best way to describe him would literally be just look at Jude Bellingham, look at his stature, and look at his physique. Look at the way how he is, his athletic build. I think they're pretty much the same height. Obviously, Jude's a little bit older than him, not that much older than him, which is crazy to think that Jude Bellingham is probably like, I think he's like 2 years older than him. He's not actually that much older, which is crazy. I think that's crazy to think, because I look at Jude and I think that's a 25, 26, 27-year-old player. He's 21. Like Jude Bellingham's like 21 or 22 maybe, something like that. But Jobe's only 19. So I think one of the main differences is, like I said, Joe Bellingham's physique. He's a lot bigger than Angel Gomes. Angel Gomes is like 5'5" or something like that, 5'4". He's a much smaller player. And Jobe, I think what kind of helps with Joe Bellingham in that sense is he can not only get around a lot more because he's stronger and I don't know if he's quicker actually. That's something I'm not too sure on. But in terms of like getting his duels, winning all of his ground duels, his aerial duels. Defensively, if you're a more physical player, you can battle a lot more on the pitch. And, coming to the Premier League, he obviously plays for Sunderland right now. Coming to the Premier League, you're gonna need to be physical. That's one thing that everyone who comes to the Premier League says, it's a very physical league, it's a strong league, everyone's kind of quick, athletic, everyone can move around the pitch very quickly. You need to have that in your game if you want to be a midfielder, be a dominant midfielder anyway. Look at someone like Bruno Fernandes. I wouldn't say Bruno Fernandes is the strongest player, but he gets around. He's a mover, he's a runner, he can cover a lot of ground, and it's fair, he is pretty physical as well, Bruno Fernandes. We all know what he's like. We all watch him every week. But we need a player who is dominant in that midfield. Look at a team like Liverpool and a player like Gravenberch. Big, strong player, can get around the pitch. Yes, technically he's got those attributes as well, but you need that physicality. Look at Rodri for City. Obviously he's injured now, but Rodri's not some little 5'5" player. He's a physical player. You can also dominate in that side of his game. Arsenal got Declan Rice, and again, Declan Rice is. He has some kind of he has technical ability, but one thing about Declan Rice is defensively he can get around the pitch. He's got legs on him. He's a bit physical. He can defend well. That's something that you need in a midfield, in my opinion. So that is something that Jude Bellingham has. Joe Bellingham. I need to stop getting that confused, because if he does come to United, we're going to need to get it right. We're going to need to get it right. Super chat from. Oh, can I see this? Magnus Leotard. Gyökeres is coming. I think Amorim is also demanding it, or almost demanding it. No other striker fits the system better than Gyökeres. It will be great for Hojlund. We're going to talk about strikers in a second, but as a good super chat, Gyökeres is somebody who I know we all know Amorim kind of wants him, and he spoke about it already. He literally said that he's not getting him in January so he can get him in summer. So we know that there's a player there that Amorim is 100% looking at to get, obviously in that striker position. But we're going to talk a little bit about that later. Let's focus on this midfielder situation of these two players. Now, make sure you're getting your votes in. Make sure you're getting your votes in as to who would you rather, Joe Bellingham or Angel Gomes. I think it's going to be interesting to see where people go with this. I think there's a lot of people who naturally, because Angel Gomes played for United, you're going to have a little bit more of a connection to that kind of player, because we all know him. We all saw him rising through the academy and getting his debut. I remember him coming on for, I think it was Rooney, he came on for in that game at Old Trafford. So there is that little bit of connection. But if we're looking for the future, now I know, yes, it's difficult to say if he's going to become the Jude Bellingham, but from what I've seen from what he's doing at Sunderland and the way he's playing, there's a lot of potential there. Super chat from Rob, always United. Great to have you on the show today, Mods. Thank you, I appreciate it. Look, now I'm going to give my consensus. I would go for. It's tough. I think I would go for Joe Bellingham. I think I'd go for Joe Bellingham. I think just the age factor as well. He's 5 years younger, so we know that he's got 5 years to kind of build up, to develop even more, to even get to Angel Gomes' level. And to be fair, I think yes, the Championship and League One, I don't actually know which is a better league. Genuinely, I don't know which is a better league. I think they're both, it's a conversation because League One is a lot of players come from League One to the Premier League and they struggle a lot. They struggle just because it's a different tempo to the game. Now, it's a different tempo, it's a different level of players and different level of teams compared to League One. And I think it's similar to the Championship. I think a lot of players come from the Championship, but some of them do very well. Some of them, you look at a play like, I don't know, Ivan Toney, came from the Championship, did amazing over there, came to the Premier League and did amazing in the Premier League as well. There's quite a few players who kind of worked their way up. Jamie Vardy worked his way up from every single league up to the Championship and then into the Premier League and also did well. So there are a lot of players who have come from the Championship to the Premier League who have really succeeded. But there's a lot of players who, like I said, have also struggled. But it's the same with League One. The players have come from League One and struggled as well. So, yeah, someone said Gyökeres came from Coventry. There's another player who, off the top of my mind, I can't remember. But a lot of people, yeah, I think when I've been speaking to a lot of people about Angel Gomes, it is really that physicality that people question. It's that because he's very small and his technical ability is there. That's one thing that we cannot doubt. Technically, he is the guy. He, on the ball, possession-based football, you're going to get a 10 out of 10 from Angel Gomes because on receiving the ball from, like I said, on the half turn, being able to maneuver it through the midfield and link up play with other players, he is that perfect for that position. When you look at Jobe Bellingham, the way he could crashes the box and he's that late runner into the box, he's going to get you some goals. I mean, if you look at some of his finishes this season, wow. He is a finisher on the ball. He can play football amazingly, and I think he controls the game great as well. I think the main difference, like I said, that defensive attributes. But like I said, let me know in the chat what you think about Angel Gomes and Jobe Bellingham, and we'll see later on in who wins that poll. We'll see who is the favourite, and I don't know who knows who Amarin's favourite is. But let's move on. And let's talk a little bit about Osimhen. Now, I think that's even in the title, about Osimhen updates in terms of, potentially are we going to get him. Now, let's be honest, United are the real main team that's been linked with Osimhen. We've been linked with this guy for ages. He obviously plays for Napoli, but he's on loan to Galatasaray, so he will be going back to Napoli at the end of the season. Now, the news that has come out, and it's from David Ornstein, so very credible reporter and journalist. Now, he says, I expect Osimhen to leave Napoli and Manchester United have been linked, but I'm not sure how realistic it is for Manchester United to let go of Rasmus Hojlund. I think they would want to build the team with him. That's talking about Rasmus Hojlund right there. Hojlund is one of the players who will generate funds, but he won't achieve a profit on his book value. Therefore, I think it's more likely that United will generate funds from other players. I've got some more, a little bit more I'm going to read out. Certainly an interesting proposition. I'm not sure how realistic it is. Man United spent 70+ million on Hojlund. My presumption is they'll be wanting to build with him rather than bringing in an older striker in what would be a complicated deal. I do expect Osimhen to be on the move, given that Napoli let him go to Galatasaray and the future is really uncertain for him there. And United have been linked, but I'm not sure how realistic that is. I'm not sure how realistic it is that Man United will let go of Hojlund. He is one who would raise some funds, but he would not produce a profit on the book value that he represents. And like I said before, I think it's likely that United will raise funds from elsewhere, as attractive a deal as that might sound for transfer lovers. Now, very, very interesting. I mean, to summarise, David Ornstein pretty much thinks that as much as Napoli will probably want to let him go, and I think Osimhen really wants to leave anyway, because of the difficult time he had at the end of his Napoli spell. Even though he brought them a whole Scudetto, he won them the league. He was one of the, if not their best player when they won the league. I think he definitely wants to leave Napoli, and the consensus is that because of Rasmus Hojlund, which is it's such a, I don't like this. The reason why I don't really like this conversation is because it puts a lot of negativity on Hojlund. And I know Hojlund hasn't been great for us, but it just feels like now it's like, because of Hojlund now we can't get Osimhen. And it's not really Hojlund's fault that it cost 72 million. I don't think he's the one who sat in the room and negotiated it, but that's the reality. Because Hojlund costs so much, Manchester United or INEOS or Glazers or whoever you want to, whoever's making the decisions, don't have as much leeway or have the ability to really go after Osimhen because of the lack of money that they're gonna get for a player like Rasmus Hojlund, and also are they gonna want to sell him on? Are they want to just cash in and say, you know what? Right now he's probably worth about 20 million. Let's be honest, he's not worth a lot of money. We're not gonna get 40, 50 million for Hojlund, considering how poor he's been this season. Because of Rasmus Hojlund, are we going to be able to get Victor Osimhen? And they're going to be thinking we need to make some kind of profit. We're going to need to find a way to make this Hojlund deal work. Whether that is just keep him in the team as a second striker or whatever, we're going to need to make something work. And David Ornstein thinks that, look, we're not going to be able to bring in a more experienced player like Rasmus Hojlund, which I think is so harsh. It is so harsh on United and on Hojlund, because now it kind of seems like, oh, you're actually making it harder for us to succeed because of how much money you cost now. Let me know in the comment in the chat right now. What do you think about this whole situation with Osimhen and Rasmus Hojlund? Or send in your super chats to let me know what would be in fact, let me know this. What's the plan? Like, what's the plan? What is your plan? Because I don't actually know how it's going to work, because the reality is we know, every single person who's watching this chat would all agree, I'm sure we all agree, that we need a striker in the summer. We need a striker. And one of the super chats earlier, they speak about Gyökeres. They speak about Gyökeres coming in the summer, and that is a player who, like I said before, Amorim definitely wants in the team. And he is, bro, voice crack, he is a more experienced player. I think he's around 27 years old. Absolutely balling for Sporting. I think he scored the most goals. It was either him or Ronaldo that scored the most goals in 2024. Something like that. I saw a stat that was crazy. Something like he scored the most goals in 2024 it was something like that anyway. I can't remember the exact stat it was, but the point I'm trying to make is he knows what he's doing. He's an experienced striker and he can definitely get you a goal. We're gonna need a striker. What's the plan? What do we do? Do we sell Hojlund? Do we keep him? Do we sell Xerxes? Do we sell both of them and just keep Chido on the bench? Do we go out and get a more experienced striker? Or do we even go out and get both a more experienced striker and a younger striker who can probably do a little bit more than what Hojlund's doing? What do we do? What is the plan? Because it's not looking like it's going to be a simple move in the summer right now. It's looking like if we are going to get an Osimhen or we are going to get a Gyökeres, somebody's going to have to go. And it's going to be difficult on who's going to go and also how much we're going to get for him. Because let's be honest, we're broke. We're broke. Manchester United, somehow, one of the richest clubs in the world, are broke. So we need to kind of raise some funds. Super chat here from Carl Robertson. I want to see Hojlund play with Amorim players. I want to see Hojlund play with Amorim players. Do you think that's going to make him better though? Like, do you really think that's going to make him like shine? Because what's going to be the real difference between him playing with, I don't know, who's an Amorim player? Let's just say he goes and brings in an Angel Gomes or brings in a Danny Olmo, or who else is linked to us in that 10 position? Yildiz. I'm going to talk about Yildiz in a bit as well. If anyone who knows about Yildiz will know Juventus player, young 19-year-old, another midfielder that probably could be in this conversation with the Angel Gomes and Joe Bellingham, but he's someone who's in that conversation anyway. But what do you think is going to be the real difference that's going to really click on for Hojlund? I know obviously there's this whole thing about service and whatnot, but anybody who's been watching United Stand and watches the build-up shows and the fans forums, I gave up on that excuse a long time ago. This whole he's not receiving the ball, we're not crossing it enough, we're not fanning him enough. No, we are. No, we really are. And when you look at the other players who have come in and stepped in that position, I saw Chido come on for 10 minutes and get 3 shots. I saw Hojlund play for 19 games and have 3 shots. I'm not really the whole. We need service. We need players that can. We have players there. We have players that are trying. We have players that are also getting goals. I know we're not scoring a lot, but we are having players who are coming out and chipping in with some kind of goals. We've got players like even Bruno Fernandes. I know he scores a lot of penalties. Yeah, you can say he's a penalty merchant all you want, but Bruno Fernandes gets goals as well. Well, Bruno Fernandes, even the last Real Sociedad game, that wasn't from a penalty. Yes, he did score 2 penalties, but his last goal was an opportunity that he got, and he didn't create it himself. I think Garnacho was the one who played it to him, but he made that run. And he also took it on himself to finish the ball. So I'm not really I don't like that excuse of no service for Hojlund. I feel like there's going to be service anyway. I feel like whoever comes in, they're going to have the same service as Hojlund's going to have. And the reality is, as a striker, you kind of need to improve yourself before you look at other players, if that makes sense. You need to be able to create your own chances, be able to create half chances. And that's the reason why you look at a player, the older players, the more like super experienced players. Look at a player like Lewandowski. I know it's difficult to compare the two, but look at a player like Lewandowski. He's like 35 years old, 36 years old maybe. He's old. Like for a striker, he is old. He scored like 35 goals this season. Are you going to tell me that because he's not as quick as Hojlund, or because he understands the ability of creating his own chances, creating half chances, being in the right place at the right time, having the right movement? He can't run in behind as quick as Hojlund can. He hasn't got the amount of energy that Hojlund has to run up and down the pitch, and he hasn't got that. Same with someone like Benzema when he was playing, well, for Real Madrid later in his Real Madrid time, or Ronaldo when he was playing for United. These are older players who, athletically, they might not have the same ability as a younger player, but they get more goals. They get the whole chance creation thing. What happened? Where was that for Ronaldo? Because it's the same players, realistically. It's more or less the same players. There's not really not that much of a difference, but he was still scoring a lot of goals. It was still Bruno creating for him, realistically, most of the time, but he was still getting a lot of chances and he was still scoring goals. It's because for someone like Ronaldo, he knows how to create his own chances. He knows how to be a striker and have that striker's instinct. So, look, I think someone said Harry Kane as well. Another striker who is in that 33, 34, 8. I don't know how old Harry Kane is, but I'm sure he's in his 30s anyway. But I just think for a striker, you need to look at yourself first, and are you doing the right things to create your own chances before you look at everybody else? But look, we'll see what happens with Hojlund later on, in the summer, and see if he does stay at United. I think he should go on loan. I think that's the best thing for him. Go and get some playtime somewhere else, where there's a lot less pressure, where you can actually just enjoy football a little bit more without that burden of Manchester United and needing to succeed or needing to impress every single game. Let him go out and just get some minutes, get more minutes out of a smaller team or a lower level. Because he is playing a lot of football for United, but to me, these are pointless minutes. It's just he's not at this level yet. So him playing all these minutes for United doesn't do anything. We're not seeing as much of an improvement. I think if he drops his level a little bit, those minutes will be a lot more valuable for him, and I think he will learn a lot more. He'll develop a lot more. I feel like someone like Garnacho as well is the same thing. I feel like he will learn a lot more if he had some minutes on loan at another club. That's my opinion. But yeah, let's move on. And like I said, I want to talk a bit about Yildiz. Yildiz. Now, if you don't know, again, just to explain who Yildiz is, he's a 19-year-old midfielder / winger for Juventus. And he, again, more conversations surrounding Man United. Now, this is what I've heard. Let me try and get up the actual figure. I've got it somewhere here. Yes, Man United have made initial contact for Yildiz. The player is valued at 75 million. That's the number that I was looking for. 75 million pounds. Now look, I can't remember the last player that we bought for 70 plus million that's worked. I'll be so honest. We bought Sancho for 72 million or around that price. Didn't work. Hojlund for 70 something million. Hasn't worked. It might work in the future. We don't know yet, but so far, he's not necessarily looked like a 70 plus million pound player. You look at Anthony for 90 million. That didn't necessarily work. Casemiro, to be fair, was about 70 million, and his first season was pretty good, but then that's tailed off a little bit now. We're not looking at a 70 million pound player right now. Who else is there that's been 70 plus million? Obviously, you look back in the past, we have Pogba and Lukaku, etc. I look at that price range and I think 75 million. We need to he needs to be a really good player for us. He needs to be someone who's going to actually earn that amount of money, or play in a way, or have performances where we can say, you know what, that was a well-spent 75 million. Because I'm scared of spending that amount of money right now. I'm genuinely scared looking at a 75 million pound young player and him coming to the club, because we've just seen it so many times with these expensive young players and they're just not really worked out. Now, for someone like Yildiz, from what I've seen, I don't watch Juventus a lot, But I've heard about Jude for a long time, from when he was at Bayern, and he was absolutely ripping it up in their academy, their under-17s and their under-19s. He was playing like a few years older. He's only 19 now, you think about it, and he was playing academy football for them, even up into the first team football for them. And there was a load of conversations about this player, this young player who's really ripping it up for Bayern. And I just think he's a player who, like I said, a lot of potential, but I'm just a bit scared of spending that amount of money right now. I really want to look for the £50 million, them kind of players who they're like gems. Like, you just find them at these little smaller clubs, and you kind of just picking them out of nowhere, and they perform, they actually exceed expectations. When you spend £75 million on a player, they have to straight away come in and be worth that amount of money. It puts a lot of pressure on players. It makes them, a lot of these players crumble. I really don't want to see that happen. But a player like Jude is a very talented player, and I think everybody who actually knows a lot about him would know that he has the ability to play at this level, as in like a decent level. He's playing for Juventus. I think recently, actually, he hasn't been playing a lot. But I think that's just because Juventus, and especially with their managerial situation and stuff like that, it is a little bit difficult for him. But I do think he's enjoying his time at Juventus in terms of just lifestyle over there. From what I've heard, I've watched a lot of like analysis on Jude and his time over there. But will he come to Manchester United? Is this kind of the fit for him? Is this the right place to nurture a player of his calibre? Will we get the best out of him? Will we see his full potential at this club? It's an interesting conversation. Now, I mean, looking at the poll, who would you rather sign, Jobe Bellingham or Angel Gomes? 59% say they want to bring in Jobe Bellingham, and 41% say Angel Gomes. That's pretty close. That's pretty close in my opinion, 60-40 roughly. So I feel like a lot of people, it is kind of split. It's obviously not 50-50, but it is kind of split. I think the thing that, like I said before, that kind of tips Jobe Bellingham over the edge is just the fact that he's a little bit younger. And he is more, in my opinion, a bit more of a versatile midfielder. He can play mainly as an 8, but you can see him playing that 10 position, and you probably could see him play a lot deeper in the pitch and be that defensive anchor that we probably need. So yeah, I think that's kind of what a lot of people are thinking in terms of Jobe Bellingham compared to Angel Gomes. But it is very similar. I want to know what you guys think about adding Yildiz into that conversation now. Is he the favourite out of the three, or where do you rank them? Let's rank them, and we're not going to do another poll because I don't really want to do that. But where do you rank those three players in terms of your Jobe Bellingham, Yildiz, and Angel Gomes? Which one would you rather? And who do you think would be the best solution for Manchester United? Super chat from Simply Red. Agreed, Maud. We need to part ways with this. We need to part ways with this team. Hojlund, Mateta immediately gets us goals, and forget the whole age excuse. 2 words, Yamin Lamau. Let's not bring Yamin into this. I think that's difficult. Did you say Yamin Lamau? Yeah, let's not bring Yamal into this. I think that's difficult because he is arguably one of the best players in the world in his position anyway. And he's a generational player. He's probably one of the best 17-year-olds we've ever seen. Like, it's difficult to really put him in these kind of conversations. But Mateta, you know what? Beth got absolutely ripped for saying that. I can't remember what show it was. I can't remember what show it was, but she said that she wanted to see Mateta because I think she thinks that he would improve the team, which he would. Let's be honest, he would be an improvement in that striker position. But my whole thing with Mateta is, one, let's see a little bit more of Mateta, because let's be honest, he's not a striker that's been banging it for 3-4 years in the Premier League. He's not that kind of experience. We've seen him this season do very well for Crystal Palace, but let's give it. If I was to go and get Mateta, I'd say let's wait for at least 1 more season, maybe even 2, to see how well he does over a period of time at this level. Because yes, like I said, he will improve the team, because I feel like most strikers who are decent, like good strikers, will improve. But we don't want to bring in a striker who is a mid-table striker in the Premier League, and then now we're going to have to go and look for a striker who can actually get us into the top 4. I feel that's kind of counterproductive. You really want to go in for a striker who either is ready to be a top 4 striker, or has the potential to get to that level. You know, someone like a Liam Delap. I'd rather go for a Liam Delap than a Mateta, because He's already certified that he's a good enough striker for the Premier League. But because of his age, I can say, you know what, he also has the potential to go on in the next 3 to 5 years to be that striker who will, get us 20, 25 goals a season, or even more than that, and help us compete for a top 4. I feel like with Mateta, he has found his level at Crystal Palace. He has found his level for a team that is competing for a mid-table position. Super chat from David McCarthy. Verbruggen from Brighton must be signed. That's a player I have to look into him a little bit more, because I've heard conversations, but I have to look into him. Maybe for my next show, am I doing a show tomorrow? I'm not sure. Maybe for my show tomorrow, I might bring him in and we'll talk a little bit about him. Another super chat from Carl Robertson. Feels like our forwards reluctantly provide for Rasmus. Reluctantly provide for Rasmus. I mean, when I look at our forwards, we've got 3 forward players right now. 4, if you want to include Bruno. It's Garnacho, Hojlund, Xerxes, and, like I said, Bruno. I think Xerxes provides. He's not necessarily an out-and-out number 9 who's just looking for goals. I think he definitely looks for Hojlund. I think his whole game is kind of linking up play with the players that are around him. So Xerxes provides. Bruno obviously provides. He's our most creative player, one of the most creative players in the Premier League. So really and truly, it's just Garnacho that you're talking about. Because you look at the wing-backs as well, Dorgu definitely is always looking to put in a cross. And on the other side, Dalot isn't necessarily looking for goals. He's probably looking, as much as he can, he's looking for a cross as well. So if you're talking about Garnacho, then fair enough. Yes, I understand that Garnacho does shoot a lot, and he probably is more of a goal scorer rather than an assister. And I guess you can look at the past, you look at someone like Rashford, but again, Rashford, in my opinion, look at what he's doing for Aston Villa. He definitely can provide for someone like Rasmus. In fact, I think Rashford was the player who provided the most for someone like Rasmus. He was the one who actually got the most assists for Hojlund. And I remember I said to my show yesterday, which is actually an interesting conversation somehow, but Rasmus's last goal before Leicester was actually Rashford's last game, which is kind of interesting when you think about it. The last game that Rashford played for United was the last time that Hojlund scored. So, the only player that was trying to get him a goal ended up leaving, and Rasmus went on a huge goal drought. Conversation to be had there. But a super chat from Magnus Leotard. I have no problem selling Mainu if we get Gyökeres. Wait, what? I have no problem selling Mainu if we get Gyökeres. Mainu hasn't shown that much yet. Last season good, this season not so good when he's been playing. I know he's young, he's not worth 180,000. I'm not even giving my opinion on Mainu, really, on any show. Everybody who knows me, knows I'm a huge Mainu fan. And Mainu's one of those players that, for me, call it Player FC all you want, I'm in support for Mainu. I'm backing Mainu until he gives me a good enough reason to say, you know what, let's part ways. I think we should, me anyway, I'm backing Mainu. I'm all in. I think Mainu is a super talent. I think he's one of the best talents that we've had took him out of the academy since Fergie, pretty much. I understand the whole conversation of he hasn't had a great season this season, but who has? Who actually has had a good season? Let's be real. We praise Bruno, and he's really one of the only players who we can say confidently, who's not been a signing, who we can say confidently, you know what? From compared to last season to this season, he's done really well. Everybody else struggled, let's be honest. They've all struggled, especially coming to a new system. And for someone like Mainu as well, he's had injuries, he's injured right now. It's been a difficult season for him. But I think it would be really hard to just say, I have no problem selling him. After a difficult season, we're just going to get rid of a player like that. It doesn't make sense to me. That's why I don't get why people say this. I really don't get it, because last season, genuinely, he was the shining light for our team. Genuinely, scored in the FA Cup final, had huge games against Liverpool. Even his first 5 to 10 games were huge. They were minimum 7, 8 out of 10s. He played in the Bayern game, the Champions League last season, and early in when he came through in the team. He played against Goodison Park, had a great game. Like I said, Liverpool had a great game. St. J had a game against Newcastle. I remember that was another great game that he had. I think it's very harsh for people to be like, you know what, let's just get rid of Mainu. That's a player who I think we should be looking to build on. And especially, I think people are they forget, because I don't even remember, just before Mainu got injured, he had a few games where he's playing in that 10 role, and he was playing very well. I don't know if you guys remember, but he was playing very well in that 10 role. He was linking up with Ahmad, amazing. I think Ahmad was playing more in that right wing back position, but I think he also played next to him in that 10 role as well. And Mainoo was actually playing decent. Like, he was having a good run of games before he got injured. I remember against Crystal Palace, he ended up playing striker because obviously Hojlund wasn't playing well at the time. And Amram thought, you know what? I'm going to put Mainoo there. And I think for like the first 10 minutes, I was at that game. For the first like 10, 15 minutes, Mainoo played very well. He had a few good, I think he had like 3 shots. He hit the post even in like the first 10 minutes. And then he kind of slowed down. We realised why he doesn't play in that position because he struggled after that. But look, in terms of like the whole £180,000 thing, yeah, I agree. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I don't think he should be getting paid that much either. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's too much money. I think on average, a United player should be getting paid 130, 140, 150 around that. If you're a signing, fair enough. You might say I've earned elsewhere, you know, a certain amount of money, so I understand why they'd say I'd want that kind of money here. Because I think like, who was it? Mazraoui's on like 180, something like that. There's one of those players, Mazraoui or Delict, around like 180 or 170 or something like that. So I can understand that, but yeah, 180 is a lot. I agree. Class of '99. What players have we seen get much worse chances than Rasmus? I'm tired of that excuse, I'll be so real. I'm tired of that excuse. But yeah, look, there's one other thing, a couple other things that I want to talk about. But keep getting your super chats actually, because that was an interesting super chat about Mainoo. There's a few more things that I really want to touch on when it comes to Mainoo, but we'll have that conversation another time. But some more news. Manchester United are interested in Borussia Dortmund's Felix Metscher and will be keen on making an offer for around 48 million euros this summer. Now, again, another player who he played for the City Academy. He came through the City Academy. Again, he was another talent that a lot of people were looking at early on, and he's gone now elsewhere to go and find some more minutes and some more playing time. And to be fair, he's doing well. I think that's kind of the main reason why United are looking at him. I mean, let me look at. I don't actually know, his stats necessarily for this season. I think he's played 19 games, 2 goals, got 1 assist. He's obviously a midfielder. He plays more. I guess he's more of a deep line. Plays a lot deeper on the pitch, but he has the attributes to kind of play in one of the 3 positions. In my opinion, he would probably obviously play in those 2 pivots in Amram's system. But again, another player who, he's 24 years old. He's got the attributes and the abilities to play in the system. In my opinion, I think he has what it takes to play in the system. But is he a player that Amram's going to go for? I mean, like I said, for INEOS, we spoke about Angel Gomes before about the whole age thing. He does fit into that category. He's 24 years old. In the next 3 years, he would be entering into his prime. So, I mean, hopefully anyway, he would be entering into his prime. He's a player who physically, he has the attributes to be one of those midfielders. I mean, like I said before, we're going to need someone who is a bit more, a bit stronger in that midfield that can get up and down the pitch. Naturally, obviously, because he's just playing that 8 role, he has those kind of attributes. The only thing is, obviously, injuries. I know he has had, from what I've heard anyway, he has had a few problems with injuries in his career. The last thing I want is to bring in another player who's going to get injured. We've had so many injuries for United players throughout the pitch. I mean, right now, literally, look at the players who were injured. Mainly was supposed to be out for a couple of weeks. He's still out now. Ahmad, I don't actually know when Ahmad's going to come back. There was the whole thing about potentially being a season ender. I hope Ahmad comes back for a Europa League final. If we see Ahmad come back in the Europa League final and he scores or he gets a winning goal, best day of my life. Honestly, that'd be like perfect for me. But again, Ahmad, a player who's injured. Obviously, we've seen players like Ugarte and Collier and obviously a couple of the defenders. Obviously, Martinez and Euro and Aiden Heaven, which, in fact, I've got some news about Aiden Heaven, which you might be happy about. You might actually be happy about this news for Aiden Heaven. Let me just say it quickly because I saw it before. Aiden Heaven has been seen at Carrington without a protective boot. Yeah? I know a lot of people, your eyes are lighting up now, you're getting happy. He's been seen without a protective boot. It's not going to be too long hopefully, it's not going to be too long after the international break that he returns. Great news. Honestly, when I saw that, I thought, you know what? Thank God, because Aiden Heaven for us in those last couple of games that he played and the stints that he's had, we got a gem there. We have a certified talent in Aiden Heaven, and for him to get injured like that in a game where he was genuinely, I thought he was one of the match until he got injured. I thought he was our best player in that game. For him to go and get injured like that, it hurt. And for him, 18 years old, I remember hearing reports after the game that, he was struggling to even speak after the game because he couldn't really describe or understand kind of the injury and what the problem was and whatnot. He couldn't really speak, and it's understandable. He's a young player, so he probably hasn't had an injury like that before in his career. But obviously, eventually, now, like I said, he's not got protected boot on. He's able to kind of, I'm not saying he's able to walk, but things are looking bright. And like I said, after the international break, there is hopefully we are going to hopefully see Aiden Heaven come back into the team. Probably not straight away, probably give him a little bit of time to kind of recover and maybe a few minutes here and there, but he is a player that's going to be coming back. So I think that's great news. I think that is amazing news for Aiden Heaven. Hopefully we can get him back into the team. Super chat from Carl Robertson. What do you think about Suleimana from Southampton? I don't know. I'll be honest. I'm not. For me, I'm not the kind of guy who's just going to talk about a player just for the sake of it. I need to actually really look into these players so I can get a good opinion and a good understanding because, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't really look at a lot of Southampton players, I'll be so honest. Other than Tyler Devlin, he's a player who, if I was going to take a player from Southampton, it'll be him. But yeah, if you want me to look into him, I think I might be in the show tomorrow, so I can bring him back into the show tomorrow and we could talk a little bit about him. Another super chat from Class of 99. What I meant was, what players have gotten as much chances to play? What players has gotten as much chances to play as Hojlund? No anyone else gets those amount of chances. Mainly will be under spotlight. I'm really trying to understand what. Let me go back to your other super chat and see what you meant. If I can find your other super chat, I'll try and. I think I know what you're trying to say. What other chances? Are you talking about the minutes that he's played? How often he plays? I get it. He does have a lot of minutes. He does get a lot of opportunity to play. He's our only striker right now, so I can understand it. Mainly be under the spotlight. I think with Mainly, look, just to touch on it a little bit more. I'll talk about him another time, but just talk about it a little bit more. I think with Mainly, for the talent that he has, for the age that he's at, he's an academy graduate. He's come through all the ranks. I think he came to the club when he was like 6 or something like that. He's an England international. He was probably one of England's best players. And let's be honest, England in that last Euros were horrendous. Our main players were poor. Phil Foden, Harry Kane wasn't that great. I think Jude was probably one of our shining talents. But mainly, when Gareth Southgate realised that playing Trent and Conor Gallagher, and who else was he trying to play in there? I can't remember who else he tried to play in that midfield, but they weren't Mainly. They weren't Mainly. When Mainly came into that team, we saw a difference, and that's probably one of the reasons why they ended up getting to the final, and he did start in the final. So I think he's an England international. In my opinion, he's just the one player that I look at and I think, if I was to start this team again, and say, you know what, I've got 3 players that I want to start Manchester United with again, everybody else can leave. I want to build this team of 3 players. Kobbie Mainoo is the first player on that list. Kobbie Mainoo, for me, is the first player on that list. And I'm not talking about the Amarim system and all of this kind of stuff. I'm just talking about for me. If I was to just be the manager and the owner, who do I want to start this team with and try and get the most out of them? Kobbie Mainoo and Amad Diallo. They're the 2 players that I look at and think, those 2 right now are the 2 most shining talents at the team. Yes, Bruno Fernandes is 100% our best player, and he is definitely one of the player that you'd want to keep in the team. And obviously, he's probably had a great season and been one of our best players, if not our best player. Him and Amad Diallo have been probably one of our best players this season. But if I was to start again from scratch, no one else is here, I'm looking at Kobbie Mainoo and I'm looking at Amad Diallo. I'm thinking, they're the two players that I want to see in this team. They're the shining talents. They're the players who I know are going to put in performances. They're the players who I know who mentality-wise, they're not going to come out and you're not going to hear about attitude problems and he's going out on abuse and all these kind of stuff that we hear with other players and, you know, having problems with the manager and all. They seem like really humble, respectable players. They're the kind of players that I want at my club. So with Kobbie Mainoo, I want to see him. I think he's the future for Man United. Yeah, but anyway, moving on. I mean, there's only like a few minutes left. I think I had one more topic that I really wanted to go into, if I can find it. If I can't find it, unfortunately, guys, that might be the end of the show. Unfortunately, that might be the end of the show. But look, thank you guys for watching the show. Like I said, the United stand last night, put on an amazing live show. If you want to see more live shows, actually, just DM Mark, because I can't do anything about it. But go and message Mark, or maybe DM the United Stand Instagram page, or just send a very strongly worded email to the United Stand email. It'd say, look, I want a live show in whatever city you want it in, whether it's Manchester. The next one will probably be in Manchester because obviously United Stand, Manchester United. But if you're from London and you want to see a United Stand show over there, or you want to see one in Birmingham or Liverpool, maybe not Liverpool. We probably won't do one in Liverpool, but you know, I don't know, any other team. One of Brentford, some Brentford's in London actually. A random other city. Let us know. Let us know you want to see one of those other live shows. And like I said, there was a great show on last night. Hopefully the guys will be back safely today or tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, and things will be back to normal. Your normal, regular scheduled program. Beth will probably do a show or something, or Mark will do a show. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this show today. I am taking over. Maybe tomorrow I might be back again. I don't know, but we'll see. And yeah, so I'll see you on the next one.